Hello, citizens, carbon-toxic children of Mother Earth. I am Mr. Mouth, Green Party candidate for South Blabbermouth, and I am honoured, profoundly honoured, to place my mouth, my slogans, and my complete absence of technical knowledge at the service of green ideology. I know next to nothing about actual ecology, energy systems, population economics, or the tiresome business of evidence. I have only the vaguest awareness that the doom-laden prophecies of Paul Ehrlich and the Club of Rome were challenged decades ago by Julian Simon and others, and, happily, even that awareness is beginning to fade. This makes me ideally qualified. I am unburdened by serious economics, allergic to abstraction, and heroically innocent of unintended consequences. My method is simple. Feel deeply, accuse loudly, and never calculate. Except when using the envy tax on highly productive people. As long as we're all signalling virtue to one another, preferably from inside expensive electric cars whose real costs, supply chains, mineral demands, battery disposal problems, and energy trade-offs we have not examined too closely, then surely civilization is on the right track. No need, thank Gaia, to trouble ourselves with those tedious works in which human beings are said to possess imagination, ingenuity, and the vulgar habit of solving problems. Away with Julian Simon's The Ultimate Resource, Percival's The Metaphysics of Scarcity, and David Deutsch's almost indecently optimistic The Beginning of Infinity. How merciful that one need not fatigue one's mind with thought. Insight is such heavy luggage. After all, what is politics for, apart from the obvious monopolization of coercion, if not the conversion of ignorance into moral superiority? And what is green politics, if not the art of knowing very little, very loudly, on behalf of the planet?